Further, we had to realign the 2024 national budget to accommodate the necessary expenditure of somewhere in the region of 41.9 billion kwacha. This was to finance drought response interventions, resume servicing of the restructured external debt. Madam Speaker, I shall repeat this. This was to finance drought response interventions, to resume servicing of the restructured external debt, and dismantling of the costly fuel arrears. It should be noted that even after restructuring, Madam Speaker, very important, our country is still carrying a heavy debt burden from the past years of extravagance. We appreciate the House for passing the supplementary budget to make this possible. Thank you to the members of Parliament in this House. Madam Speaker, the global economy in which Zambia is firmly intertwined is experiencing difficulties that include rising inflation and high interest rates across the globe, leading to shortage of capital as well as the depreciation of currencies. This, together with domestic challenges, is negatively affecting the cost of living of our people. Our government will continue to work diligently to address the issue of the cost of living, to alleviate the challenges, the difficulties that our people are facing as a consequence of these parameters outlined above. Again, our hearts are with our people, the people of Zambia. Madam Speaker, we are putting in place multiple measures to address these issues. Madam Speaker, we will now proceed to highlight the achievements we have made under the policy measures that we will pursue or we continue to pursue, in line with our national development agenda as espoused in the 8th National Development Plan. Our administration continues to implement key macroeconomic reforms, necessary reforms, difficult, painful, but necessary for us to heal, for us to turn the corner. These macro restructuring measures and others are essential, Madam Speaker. I make this point emphatically because there is no way out other than through these measures that were put in place if we want longevity in success in our country. Madam Speaker, our administration is working and working hard, following the reaching of agreements with the Official Creditors Committee. Official Creditors Committee, Madam Speaker, the House, the country needs to be aware that the debt was in 4 components. 1, official creditors, if you want to call it bilateral creditors. 2, Eurobonds. 3, commercial creditors. 4, domestic arrears. These are the 4 categories that we've been dealing with, just for ease of reference, so that as we go through our presentation, we can put context to what we're saying. So therefore, following the reaching of agreements with the Official Creditors Committee and the Eurobond holders, we are glad to inform this August House that our government has since resumed servicing of the external debt since defaulting in 2022. We are now back on track. We have restored our country's credibility in the international financial system, no doubt about it. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning will soon present the 2025 national budget to this August House. The budget will outline specific policy measures to safeguard macroeconomic stability, restore and maintain debt sustainability. Remember, climate change has brought factors that were not incorporated in our calculation of debt sustainability. So we are working hard to take this into account. Very important, Madam Speaker, that we remain on top of the gains that we've made. So as we address our social economic challenges, we take account of all of these variables so that we do a smart professional job, difficult as it may be. We request this August House to support the budget once it's tabled in this House. Madam Speaker, economic transformation and job creation. Madam Speaker, in our last address, we announced measures to stimulate maize production. These included the increase in the maize purchasing price, in the floor price, to make farmers viable at the farm gate. Otherwise, you won't have maize. There will be no maize if you didn't address those issues. So we had to address that issue to ensure that the maize floor prices are attractive to producers. Establishment of an agricultural credit window and guaranteeing a ready market for early maize production. Our people responded, Madam Speaker, favorably by planting a record 2.2 million hectares of land under maize cultivation compared to 1.8 million hectares in the previous season. As a consequence of the severe drought we experienced in the 2023-2024 agricultural season, only 684,000 hectares out of the 2.2 million hectares, which is only 31% of the area planted, was harvested. Disaster indeed. Disaster indeed. This significantly reduced the maize production to 1.5 million tons from an expected harvest of 4.4 million tons. This largely, Madam Speaker, is the cause of the current challenges in food security. The nation needs to be aware of that. We commend our citizens, Madam Speaker, for their remarkable response to the call to grow more maize and food in general. Thank you to the citizens who responded positively. They must remain positive, however. Madam Speaker, to cover the maize deficit, we're importing maize from some neighboring countries, and that's normal. That's normal. We want to reassure our people that no one will go hungry in our country, our citizens, wherever they are, across the 10 provinces, 116 districts, 156 constituencies. We are your keepers. We are interested in your welfare. That's why you elected us into office. So this is our assurance, Madam Speaker. No one will go hungry in our country during this challenging period. At least some food will be available. To further mitigate the effects of the drought, we are encouraging the cultivation of winter and early maize by all our farmers, including those who have never produced any food in their life. This is the time to give it a try, because the country needs food. Government will soon contract farmers to supply early maize to be delivered by April 2025, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, to promote resilience among smallholder farmers amid climate change, government is providing affordable financing for the mechanization and the necessary irrigation, precision irrigation, more importantly. We, as a government, are conscious that mechanization, irrigation will help us to increase the quantum of production, and more importantly, to improve productivity. The two are different, but we're interested in both as a government. Madam Speaker, the Sustainable Agricultural Financing Facility with irrigation will enable our farmers to grow crops all year round. There will be nothing called a planting season. Every month is a planting season. Every month is a harvest month. That is where we should be going. In the 2024-2025 agriculture season, the financing facility will be enhanced to the tune of 1.2 billion kwacha from 400 million kwacha in the 2023-2024 agriculture season. This is in order to include additional crops, livestock, and aquaculture. It is gratifying to note that the number of participating banks in this facility Madam Speaker, has increased from 5 last year to 9 now, and more are expected to come on board. To improve productivity among our farmers, we have continued to expand coverage of extension services countrywide. Madam Speaker, for the forthcoming season, the distribution of inputs under the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP, will be carried out using the e-voucher system in 74 districts. And the direct input support or supply system in 42 districts, benefiting over 1 million farmers across the country. The benefits of the e-voucher model are that it empowers farmers to choose inputs best suited to their specific needs and supports job creation in our rural areas by increasing market participation of the suppliers and credible agro-dealers. Madam Speaker, the growth of the livestock subsector has long been constrained by the disease outbreaks. Government has therefore intensified efforts in fighting livestock diseases. We managed to control the outbreak of anthrax in Eastern Province, Southern Province, and Western Provinces towards the end of 2023. We have also heightened, if you like, our vaccination campaign against the contagious bovine pleural pneumonia, African swine fever, anthrax, as well as foot and mouth diseases across the country. We are proud that, as a country, we are making progress in producing animal vaccines. For instance, by mid-August this year, 880,400 doses of anthrax vaccine had been produced locally within our country. We are determined to be self-sufficient in the production of vaccines, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the mining sector remains key in driving our economic growth, providing employment opportunities and revenue generation. Our administration is therefore resolved to bring all our mining assets to full production in our quest to attain our target of 3 million tons of copper by 2031. We are pleased to report that most outstanding issues, Madam Speaker, as I sit here, from the last time I sat in this chair, we made commitments. And I'm pleased to report to you, the Speaker and the House, that most outstanding issues at Mopani Mine, at Konkola Copper Mines, have since been successfully resolved. The companies, Madam Speaker, the companies are now back in business. After many years of dormancy, these companies are now back in business. We must celebrate as a nation this achievement. It's for the country. It's not for one individual or cabinet or UPND government. It's for the 20 million Zambians. It's for the 20 million Zambians. Madam Speaker, at Mopani Copper Mines, for instance, International Resources Holdings is investing a total of $1.1 billion, which is well on course. In fact, production has already started going up within the shortest possible time. With respect to Konkola Copper Mines, Vedanta Resources is expected to invest another US $1.2 billion. Out of this amount, $250 million has already been paid to dismantle areas or to contractors, suppliers, and services, including the local authorities, who have now been able to pay their retirees and are moving towards providing services to residents of the cities. Wonderful indeed. Further, China Non-Ferrous Metal Mining Corporation, CNMC, has begun investing US $500 million in reviving production at 28 Shaft in Luansha. in Luanshya, Avena Luanshya, Avena Ron. The dewatering of the mine, which is expected to take up to 21 months, has since commenced. This will see 28 shafts and the Luanshya community spring back to life after more than 20 years of dormancy. Madam Speaker, we need to acknowledge these developments so we can inject a positive spirit in our bodies and work even harder. In Chirilabombwe, Lubambe is also on course to revive an investment from JCHX of $300 million. With the revival of these mining assets, Madam Speaker, the local economy on the Copper Belt is surely rebounding. We are glad that Zambians continue to own a stake in all these assets through ZCCM IH. Madam Speaker, other investments are being made in greenfield mines, distinguished from the brownfields. Existing mines, brownfields. New mines, greenfields. So other investments are being made in greenfield mines. These include the US $600 million Kitumba mine project by Sino Mine in Mumbwa district, which we opened. New mine, Madam Speaker. Just to inform the House that in Mumbwa district alone, in the last 3 years, this government has mobilized well over $800 million in Mumbwa district alone, and is beginning to work. And 2,500 jobs are online. Sure. Cobalt, Madam Speaker, Cobalt Metals, and our own company, ZCCM Investment Holdings, are developing a $2 billion mine in Mingomba, in Chililabombwe. Barrick Lumwana, since we took office, Madam Speaker, Barrick was on their way out. They are now staying and are developing a super pit worth $2 billion. This super pit, Madam Speaker, in northwestern Lumwana is a game changer. It will mean a lot to our people there and our economy. Other ongoing projects include Kasenseli Gold and Kalengwa Mine, also in the northwestern province, the new Copper Belt. In fact, it's not a new Copper Belt because the Copper Belt province is rebounding. So we have now 2 Copper Belt provinces. One traditional Copper Belt, another northwestern. Equally important. So we, as well as the Mimbula minerals in Chingola, we are on the upswing, Madam Speaker. 3 million tons of copper is in sight. No question about it. Madam Speaker, in our last address, we announced that government would embark on a national geological mapping. We announced in the last speech that your government will embark on a national geological mapping exercise to unlock the untapped potential of our minerals, so that we don't rely on our farmers to discover minerals for us. We need to know what lies underground in an organized way. We are pleased, Madam Speaker, sitting here, very pleased to announce to you, to this House and the nation, that the commencement of the high-resolution aerial geophysical survey to explore minerals and groundwater deposits across the whole country has commenced. The mapping exercise will enhance our ability, Madam Speaker, to realize the true market value of our minerals and our natural resources. This is further expected to reduce exploration costs because now we will have the backbone data for any detailed exploration to take place and promote investment in the mining sector going forward. We call upon our citizens to support and cooperate with this exercise. as the planes, low-flying planes, 50 meters above the surface, go around. They are not enemy planes. They are your planes, fellow citizens, to discover value for yourselves. Madam Speaker, the activities of illegal mining are a big challenge that our government is fully committed to addressing. This courage has resulted in needless loss of life, which we regret, Madam Speaker, and pose a significant threat to national security of our country. To combat this, our government is ready and willing to issue mining licenses to Zambians and others and facilitate access to credit, further enabling them, miners, to meet necessary safety standards. So, Madam Speaker, legal mining is what we support. Safe mining is what we support. And also capital plus access to market. We said so many years back, we are doing it now. And we need the cooperation of everybody so that we do a good job, a fair job. Madam Speaker, we will continue to apply the law and maintain order to eradicate illegal mining activities going forward. And the matching orders have been given already to all agencies that should ensure safety security of our areas, including unwanted individuals operating in those areas. So please, members of parliament, support that effort because it's happening in your constituencies. That's where the mines are. We therefore call upon all our traditional leaders, in addition to the members of parliament, in addition to the mayors, council chairpersons, in addition to councillors, elected officials, all of us, we are also calling upon our traditional leaders, our civil society, our church, to join forces with the government to stop illegal mining. Very important. Madam Speaker, to support expansion in the agricultural production and other economic activities, government will continue to make land available to our people legally. Again, rule of law, legally. To land to our people legally and protect their rights to own land. We will work with our traditional leaders to ensure that all land, whether state or traditional, customary, as the law may be defining it, is protected from encroachment and other vices. No thuggery, no grabbing land illegally. This will not be tolerated going forward. Going forward, there is need to address land disputes. We will address land disputes so that land can be put to economic use, lifeline use for our communities, for the development of our country. Madam Speaker, tourism remains an important economic sector, creating jobs for our people, as well as foreign exchange and revenue for the country. In the first half of this year, international tourist arrivals tremendously increased as compared to the same period in 2023. Progress, it's how you measure it. To encourage local tourism, government is actively engaging tourism establishments, tour operators, and other players in the sector to design attractive packages for our people to promote domestic tourism, as well as international tourism. Madam Speaker, to promote the tourism sector and enhance its contribution to wealth and job creation, tourism promotion activities are being scaled up. In this regard, a number of traditional ceremonies were actively marketed and supported this past period. Government has continued to market and promote Zambia as a tourist destination of choice in key tourism source markets. We will also continue to promote tourism product development in partnership with the private sector, regional partners, global partners, is also a matter that we would encourage. Madam Speaker, the energy sector, which is an enabler of economic growth, has been severely, as indicated already, affected by the drought. The electricity subsector, which is predominantly hydroelectric power, has experienced a significant decline in electricity generation due to low water levels. To mitigate these effects of the drought on electricity generation, Madam Speaker, and the growing electricity deficit, yet demand is going up, government is implementing a number of interventions, a myriad of interventions, in a bid to enhance resilience and reduce our dependence on hydroelectric power. We are promoting alternative energy sources of electricity generation. To this end, we commissioned the construction, Madam Speaker, from a discussion table, but we finally commissioned the construction of 300 megawatts of thermal power plant in Mamba. Construction is going on day and night. This power plant is expected, Madam Speaker, to come on stream by mid-2026. And this is firm power. This is base load. Very important. To diversify the energy mix further, Madam Speaker, the country's current power deficit and to address the country's current power deficit, ZESCO Limited, with various partners, including those from China, and from different parts of the world, ZESCO is spearheading the development of several solar electricity projects. This is in addition to a number of private sector initiatives which this government is encouraging seriously. Any citizen, Madam Speaker, is invited to invest in the energy sector. We have reduced the regulatory burden, the time lost, so please come forward and for once run genuine businesses, and you will be supported by your government. Madam Speaker, to boost an alternative energy sources further, government has issued the electricity net metering. I'm talking about, Madam Speaker, the operating environment to attract more investors in the sector. Your government has issued what we are calling net metering. Regulations of 2024 is now in place. The net metering system will allow customers who produce their own electricity to feed the excess into the electricity grid. Very important. We encourage citizens, Madam Speaker, all citizens without discrimination. We encourage citizens to explore and invest in these alternatives, to adopt, to look at sustainable energy sources, to reduce our reliance on traditional source hydro. Madam Speaker, over the past decades, we must all agree that we abdicated our responsibility to invest in this important energy sector over the decades. Now we must work together to remedy, to ameliorate this situation. Hence, our government is working round the clock to find lasting solutions to this historical challenge. We share the pain once more our citizens are going through. But our resolve is to turn these challenges, Madam Speaker, into opportunities to make Zambia an energy surplus country. And it will happen. And it will happen. Much quicker than some think. It will happen. We're working very hard. Madam Speaker, in the petroleum subsector, we have continued to ensure security of supply of petroleum products. We remain committed to ensuring that efficient supply and stable pricing of petroleum products is in place. Madam Speaker, your government will continue to promote investments and growth of the manufacturing sector. Value addition is very important. We have put in place a legal framework that has provided incentives for the expansion of the existing projects across the country. We are also keen, Madam Speaker, to make sure that all provinces begin to process something, all provinces, so that we can distribute development across our country. Madam Speaker, Your government will continue to promote investments and growth of the manufacturing sector, as I have said. But diversity is also a matter of importance to us. Madam Speaker, government has continued to use special economic zones as a model for industrialization and job creation. For instance, the Lusaka South Multi-Facility Economic Zone and the Jiangxi Multi-Facility Economic Zone in Chibombo have continued to attract a number of investments aimed at value addition. We continue deliberately attracting investors in these sectors, and once more, in these zones, we invite citizens of Zambia to invest in these zones. Please look at the incentives that are in these zones. A lot of incentives are there. Pay attention, if not for yourself, legal but for your voters, for your members, for those that are willing to invest. Your government wants Zambian citizens and companies to locate also in these economic zones so that you can be part of the development process. Madam Speaker, to further expand the local manufacturing base, government is promoting the production and consumption of local products. To achieve this, we are developing legislation to support local manufacturers by encouraging public institutions to procure locally produced goods. Public institutions includes Parliament. Madam Speaker, public institutions include Parliament. Procure from local suppliers. It starts with each one of us. So we therefore will continue to promote the Proudly Zambian campaign machinery. Madam Speaker, government has intensified efforts in economic diplomacy, so as to increase exports of Zambian products into regional and international markets. This has been achieved through engaging strategic trading partners in order to remove trade barriers affecting Zambian exports. Soon, we will address the nation to be more specific on this area. The country will be very pleased with the open market access we have achieved in huge markets, which we can't even satisfy. Now we must produce. All of us must produce. Madam Speaker, micro, small, medium enterprises, MSMEs, play an important role in fostering, I repeat, micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, play an important role in fostering innovation as well as creating employment and wealth. It is for this reason that your government revised the micro, small, and medium enterprise development policy. Recently, we promoted preferential procurement regulations aimed at substantially increasing the participation of MSMEs in public procurement. Very important opportunity. Madam Speaker, to support MSMEs, the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission dispersed 670 loans this year alone. 670 loans this year alone, accounting to a figure of 189.2 million kwacha for small businesses. It's a lot of money. In addition, government has continued to provide financing under the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme. The number of small and medium enterprises accessing financing under guarantees from the commercial banks has increased tremendously. The number of banks through which the scheme provides guarantees has also risen for ease access, with expanded outreach into the rural areas. So, honorable MPs who occupy rural constituencies, you are not forgotten. Please encourage your voters to access these facilities instead of queuing for tantamen. Further, we are providing empowerment funds in form of grants and loans under the Constituent Development Fund. This year, so far, more than 485 million kwacha has been dispersed countrywide to benefit the youth, women, community groups, and other businesses. Directly in the constituents, never done before. We are walking the talk in ensuring that our citizens, especially the most vulnerable, including the youth, women, persons living with disabilities, are empowered to effectively participate in the economic development of their country, our country. In light of the above, we call upon the beneficiaries, please pay back the loans, because the interests are very low. In some cases, 5%. Please pay back in order for more Zambians to benefit from these initiatives. Madam Speaker, the development of transport infrastructure remains a priority for our administration. This will enhance connectivity and accessibility to all parts of our country, both rural and urban, and into the region. Very important. In this vein, government has continued with the development of road infrastructure, particularly through the public-private partnership. A model many thought would not work is working now, and working very well. We're very proud of this, Madam Speaker. Off the national balance sheet, raising resources off debt, off the national balance sheet. Very smart. Madam Speaker, under the PP model, we have delivered and commissioned 35-kilometer Chingola, the 35-kilometer Chingola to Kasumbalesa Road. Chingola, Chirilabombwe, Kasumbalesa Road. In May this year, we also commissioned the construction of the 327-kilometer Lusaka to Ndola dual carriageway and the rehabilitation of the 45-kilometer Luansha via Fisenge Masangano Road. Lots of hard work is going in place. We are pleased, Madam Speaker. I'm here to report to you, Madam Speaker, and your House, that we are pleased to report that the works are progressing very well and very fast. And the project is being undertaken, Madam Speaker, at a mere $650 million. As opposed to 1.3 plus interest, $1.8 billion. Big difference. Three principles, Madam Speaker: the right price or cost, number one; number two, timely delivery; three, quality. Quality. That's what we said years back. It's working now. The project is expected to be completed within 36 months. On time. We're working to push for that project to be done even ahead of time. Very important. This is what we call value for money. Right price, to repeat, right quality, timely delivery. The project will contribute to actualizing our aspiration of becoming a transport and logistics hub in our region. We are a land-linked country, Madam Speaker. We should never use the expression that we're a landlocked country. We're a land-linked country. Flip the coin, risk on this side. Flip the coin, opportunity on another side. Madam Speaker, through other financing mechanisms, government is implementing the US $270 million transport corridors for economic resilience project. Under the project, we will rehabilitate 238-kilometer Serenge to Mpika Road. We will also upgrade the Nakonde border post into a modern international non-stop border post. I'm sure, Madam Speaker, people have not heard. We were priding ourselves of a one-stop, but we want to move towards a non-stop border post. But for now, one-stop border post. In our transition to a non-stop border post with technology is possible. Your government is also working on the Katete-Chanide Road in Eastern Province, taking us to that border post with a modern border at Chanide. Excellent. 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 Madam Speaker, we also commissioned the rehabilitation works on the Lusaka-Mongu Road from Tata Yoyo Gate to Katunda Lukulu Junction, covering 87.3 kilometers. In addition, the north-south and Dar es Salaam corridor, Madam Speaker, will be transformed into a multi-modal smart transport corridor with a quality infrastructure under logistics facilities that we're working on. Madam Speaker, a good rural road network is equally critical to our development agenda. During this period under review, Madam Speaker, over 2,980 kilometers of feeder roads were rehabilitated and maintained by local authorities throughout the country. Madam Speaker, here is a connection. This has been made possible through the Enhanced Constituency Development Fund that your government is providing to all the constituencies across the country. Further, 186 kilometers of feeder roads have been rehabilitated under the approved or improved rural connectivity projects. Madam Speaker, the development of aviation infrastructure and another strategy. Let me repeat. The development of aviation infrastructure is another strategy we are implementing in our quest to become a transport and logistics hub in the region. To this end, we have embarked on the construction of the second runway at the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. This will not only make the airport more efficient, but safer. Some remember that we had a challenge on the only runway and some planes could not land here. They had to go to Ndola. Let's assume the plane had not enough fuel. You can't think of that situation. So the second runway is inevitable. It makes us more attractive as an airport of international standing. That is very important, Madam Speaker. But we will also attract more international airlines, more than what we have done already. With regard to provincial airports, equally important, we are glad, Madam Speaker, very glad to report that the upgrading of the Kasama Airport has been finally completed. Kasama Airport has been completed, Madam Speaker, following the installation of the airfield ground lighting. The runway is fantastic, Madam Speaker. I have used it myself. We are in the process of further upgrades in the northern corridor. We are focusing on the northern corridor because of the distance from Lusaka and other reasons. So after Kasama, we have now moved to Mansa. Work has commenced. Work has commenced in Mansa. From there, Nakonde. Nakonde. We have taken a view, Madam Speaker, that Nakonde is strategic to our country's economic investment, trade flows. And Nakonde must be given quick attention even above some areas because of its strategic nature. So Nakonde, but without leaving Chinsali behind. That's the work going on, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, railway transport remains the most cost-effective mode for the haulage of heavy and bulk cargo. In this regard, the government has prioritized the development and rehabilitation of the railway network to improve connectivity at both national and regional levels. The main projects to be undertaken, Madam Speaker, we've worked very hard. We've worked very hard behind the scenes, and we've made progress. The main projects to be undertaken include the development of the Lobito corridor, the Lobito North-West Railway Line, we call it, from Luau in Angola, through Chibweka, Mwinilunga, Kalumbila, Lumwana, into Chingola. Very important, Madam Speaker. So this will take us to the Atlantic Ocean through Lobito in Angola. The revitalization, important revitalization of the Tanzania-Zambia railway system, TAZARA, And, Madam Speaker, we have good news for you. We have signed this arrangement. We have signed this transaction. It's all in place now. And the rehabilitation, obviously, of Zambia Railway, so that that link, Chingola, Kapiri, is joining then Atlantic Ocean and Indian Ocean. Very important, Madam Speaker. Then we're moving towards being a transport hub. Madam Speaker, the information and communication technology sector has demonstrated a remarkable degree of versatility, even in the face of climate change. To drive innovation, Madam Speaker, for improved service delivery and job creation, we are enhancing information and communication technology infrastructure and digital capabilities. To enhance digital inclusion and the connectivity in the unsaved and underserved areas, government is undertaking nationwide construction of 202 communication towers. In addition, the private sector is constructing 212 towers. Madam Speaker, I know sometimes we forget. We talked about Starlink not long ago. Starlink now provides internet to any part of this country. Any part of this country, you can have internet. It is reality now. It's no longer a story, it's real. Once completed, Madam Speaker, these towers will transform the social economic status of our people. Our people will be able to access a number of key services electronically, such as what? Social cash transfer, agricultural services, legal services, and health services, amongst just some as examples. Further, improved rural connectivity is critical in the attainment of our vision of having smart villages, such as the recently launched Muchila Smart Village in Namala district. This now will be rolled out across the country. Across the country. That was a pilot project. The concept of smart villages, Madam Speaker, is that we have now adopted, which we have adopted, entails the provision of electricity using alternative energy sources, mainly solar, to homes in the villages, to schools, to clinics within the locality of the project. This also includes information and communication services. Very important. Madam Speaker, government is implementing interventions to harness science, research, and development to promote industrialization and green growth. We are enhancing the capacity of the National Institute for Scientific and Industrial Research to facilitate innovation, as well as technological transfer and adaptation. We are also revising the legal framework to provide for venture capital funding for innovators in our country. Further, government is allocating more resources to promote productivity and output-enhancing technologies in sectors such as agriculture. The technologies include early maturing, disease-resistant, pest-resistant, high-yielding, and climate-smart seed varieties of maize, cassava, rice, sorghum, pigeon peas, as well as groundnuts. We will increase, Madam Speaker, multiplication of the improved seed varieties to make them accessible across the country. Our researchers have also developed a rain-fed wheat variety for the first time to enable small-scale farmers to engage in wheat production even if they don't have the massive irrigation capabilities. So wetland wheat, Madam Speaker, will become possible because of these varieties.